In the darkness of a dark night, a young beautiful girl was returning home from college. The rays of light did not reveal anything. She was completely unaware that a man was waiting for her near the car park. As soon as she looked at the man, one word came out of the girl's mouth. Helpless, because a bandage was tied on the man's right arm. He was dressed in beautiful clothes and was walking towards her carrying some books. "Can I help you?" The girl approached and asked the stranger. "Thank you very much. If you could help me to keep these books in my car," the unknown man requested, answering in a low voice. The girl took some books from him and stooped to place them on the back seat of the car. The man picked up an iron rod and hit the girl on the head. Before she could recover, the stranger left her there and got into the car. He sat down and ran away. This brutal man did the same thing to this girl that he had done to many other innocent girls. He was a crazy fanatic. He was a very ruthless and brutal killer who planned to kill people mercilessly and then took their lives when he saw an opportunity. Most of his victims were beautiful girls of 19. Why did he do this? No one knew. His appearance, modesty, speech, and beautiful clothes indicated that he was educated and cultured. This was the reason why innocent and forgetful girls often fell into his clutches. He always carried a pistol with him, which was hidden in a secret belt wrapped around his right arm inside his sleeve. His outward guise made it very difficult to catch him. He did not appear to be a professional killer. He was a man who molested innocent girls before killing them. That was his profession and that was his job. Once the news of the sudden disappearance of a young girl came to light, some people started telling the police about this cunning and mischievous person. They said, "We saw such a strange person who was hiding a weapon in his armpit while he was riding in a beautiful car. He had some books with him and was crying for help that someone help him to keep his books inside his car." Then the same thing happened to another girl named Susan who suddenly disappeared and never came back. Then there was a day when on June 11, 1974, a brilliant student of Washington University, Jorgen Hawkins, suddenly disappeared. No one knew where Hawkins was and in what condition. She was last seen by a friend who, when asked, said she was worried about her Spanish exams. Some witnesses later told police that while Hawkins and his friend were talking, they saw a stranger there, a man with a bandage on his right arm. He was carrying his briefcase. He was asking Hawkins for help to put the case in the car. She was willing to help him, but little did she know that it would be her last act of kindness. Perhaps she was the lucky girl that the killer himself later described. After killing her, he did the same to her body as he did to other girls. The killer would often target a girl in a car parking lot or jump in from a house window and attack innocent girls. Most of his victims were university students. It was his habit to make beautiful girls the object of his lust. Even the girls who were victims of it were known to be highly intelligent. He was a serial killer. He never thought about his arrest. In fact, he thought he was smarter than the police, because he had been a political leader. At one time, he was also the assistant director of the Advisory Commission on Anti-Crime. He also wrote an article that emphasized the prevention of sexual abuse. At one time, he was an active member of the American Sex Department Service, where he often spoke about missing women. Amazingly, he was still around when the police arrived the day after Hawkins's murder. Investigators were convinced that whenever a girl went missing, a man with a bandage on one hand was seen near her. Often it was also seen that most of the girls were abducted from a place where some construction work was going on nearby. The killer also had a Beetle car. These were some of the points from which the capture of this serial killer began. During the investigation, it was first discovered how many VW Beetles there were in the area. All these things came as a surprise to the investigators because no dead body of a girl and no forensic evidence. But there were some things that could lead to the killer. After Hawkins's death, another girl was targeted. She was sitting in the park with her friends. The killer told them about himself, saying he was from Canada and his name was Ted. At that time, he was dressed in a tracksuit. He pleaded with the girls for help, saying that he needed a sailboat immediately, which was in his car. Even then, his hand was bandaged. There were 5 girls there at that time. 4 flatly refused, while one of them agreed to go with the killer. As she approached the car, alarm bells rang in her mind as there was no sailboat in the car. She ran back to her friends before the killer caught her. She was the first girl who managed to escape at that time. But after a few days, she finally became Ted's target. The question here was why the police were unable to finally catch a man who was openly stabbing innocent girls when all the signs like the Beetle car and bandages on his hands were common during every murder. And he used to tell every girl his name was Ted. What more evidence did the police need than this? It was beyond reason. The police had expanded the scope of the investigation. Such news had become a daily routine. After a few days of investigation, the top police officials were able to create an image that could accurately present frenetic Ted's appearance. The person shown in the photo appeared to be Ted. A few days passed and Ted was mentioned everywhere. Sketches of her halia began to adorn the media. The newspapers had a new story and the television people a new subject for a new show. All this news had reached Bundy. Meanwhile, another incident happened. About 2 months after Bundy's last murder, human remains were found in a park compound. These bones belonged to the same people whom Bundy had subjected to his cruelty. On the other hand, Bundy had got admission in Utah Law College. He packed up and headed to Utah in 1974. He was the only person there who started killing once again. In the early days of October, an innocent girl was targeted, and a few days later, a 17-year-old girl working in a pizza shop was attacked. This girl was the daughter of a senior police official. When her mutilated body was found, it was sent for an autopsy, in which it was revealed that he brutally tortured her for 7 days, which Bundy later confessed to. The surprising thing was that after killing his target, Bundy would wash the girl's hair with shampoo and wash her face. But he used to wear a little makeup. He liked girls with such clean hair and light makeup. After making up, he would make a picture of them. He often said, "When you start doing something good, you should not forget it all." There were many murders. Many innocent lives were lost. The police were also worried about how to reach the killer. Meanwhile, the police station receives a call. The girl says her name is Elizabeth. She wants to meet the police chief. In the phone call, she reveals that she knows the man the police are looking for, Ted. While she is telling all this to the police chief on the phone, Ted is also on the other end of the call. He escapes after hearing this, and now his target is Colorado. Things remain the same there too. The killing of innocent people starts there too. Therefore, he kills many people during this period till the end of 75. Bundy is still out of police custody. One day he is driving a normal car when a policeman stops him on the side of the road and asks him to check the car's documents. He becomes suspicious of Bundy because he sees some suspicious things in the car. The policeman orders Bundy to get out of the car. As soon as he comes out, he is detained. His house is later searched, where some photos that he made before killing the girls are found. As soon as those photos fall into the hands of the police, the whole thing gets straightened out. Some officials head to Seattle to talk to Bundy's lover to get to the bottom of the matter. She tells them about some things that Bundy always keeps with him. For example, a pair of crutches found in his house, plaster of Paris, large knives, gloves worn by doctors, and a bag that is always filled with women's clothes. All this information is enough to prove Bundy as a brutal killer. On the other hand, police officers from other areas, including Seattle and Colorado, exchange information and various evidence regarding Ted's case, and they come to the conclusion that the killer is in their hands. Thus, Ted is arrested and sentenced to 15 years in prison at the end of the trial. After spending a few days in jail, he manages to escape from there and takes refuge in Florida. On the night of January 15, 1978, he was walking past Florida State University when he attacked 3 girls who were sleeping in separate dorm rooms. One of them died while 2 were seriously injured. A few days later, he takes the life of an innocent 12-year-old girl. Meanwhile, once again, while traveling on the road, a policeman stops him. Ted attacks the policeman and tries to escape after injuring him, but the policeman arrests him in the process. Surprisingly, Florida police don't know Bundy is a serial killer. The official does not know that a most wanted killer of America has come into his hands. While in custody, Bundy begs the officer to kill him while sitting in the car, but the officer brings him to the police station. The trial continues and Bundy pleads guilty to killing 30 innocent people. On January 24, 1989, when Bundy is 42 years old, Bundy is sitting in an electric chair counting his last breaths. As a punishment, such a brutal murderer is made to sit on a chair with electric current running through it. Eventually, the culprit dies due to electrocution. Bundy's last words at the time of his death were, "I ask you to send my loving regards to my family and my friends." Hope you like this video. For more amazing, informative, and incredible stories, subscribe to our channel and stay with us till the end of the amazing roller coaster. Thank you.